Nick here. New York Sports Weekend Review, December 2nd, 2017. Here's Saturday morning. Very big week in New York sports. Giants bench Eli Manning. Totally butcher that situation. Yankees hire a new manager. That news came out last night. The Knicks are playing well. They're a game above 500. I think they're going to come back down a little bit, but still a game above 500 right now is like playing 700 ball for them. The Rangers, after a really slow start, are starting to move their way up in the division. The Devils are up on top right now as far as local hockey teams, so I'm happy about that. And you got the Islanders right in the middle. And if you're on the other side of the river for basketball, well, the Brooklyn Nets, same old, same old. I want to put a bow on this New York Giant Eli Manning thing. Look, we know that you have to move on from Eli Manning, right? We understand that as fans, and we get it. The problem is the way it was handled. You can measure that by everybody just sit there right now and just say out loud, Geno Smith, and let it just sink in for a second. It really just let that sink in after you say it. But the way it was handled was just really bad, right? And my disappointment is with ownership. And it's not that Mara went to the coaches and the GM and Reese and said, look, we need to look at some of these other guys. That we got to start thinking about what we're going to do at the quarterback position. That's not the problem. It's the way it was handled. For an organization to have historically be like the Hallases, right? George Halas out in Chicago and the Rooneys in Pittsburgh and be a classy organization and known for handling things well, they could not have butchered this more. I mean, they literally just annihilated this decision. You had Ben McAdoo, who's a robot, who is a cold, callous steel robot, just come out in a practice facility and just say, we're benching Eli, we need to win games, Geno Smith is our quarterback. And that was it. Like that, it was over. You didn't sit down and talk about how you were going to approach this and how you were going to do this and how this could possibly play out. You just slapped him in the face, basically. He is arguably the second best Giant in franchise history. If there's a Mount Rushmore of Giant players, it's Lawrence Taylor, it's Y.A. Tittle, it's Frank Gifford, and Eli Manning. That's the four. Those are it. And you took this guy and you just slapped him in the face. Didn't you? Look, you could have said, look, it's a tough decision. He's meant a lot. He's an icon in this franchise. It's but you just obliterated him. It was just really, the disappointment is in the way it was just handled. And you would think that the Giants and management and ownership would just have done it a better way. They should have just done it a better way. And what's funny about the fans, the backlash from the fans is hysterical. And this is the thing about the New York fan. The New York fan is like, they're like your big brother, right? They're like the brother that just relentlessly picks on you, bullies you, but the very first time somebody on the outside or somebody else does the same exact things you doing, they want to knock you out. They want to fight you. They want to defend the little sister or the little brother. Right? That's what the Giant fan is right now. Right? They wanted Eli gone. They've talked so much crap about Eli sucks, get him out of here. You look stupid, you this, that, and the other thing. And then as soon as they bench him, the world is up in arms in New York. And how can you do this to the guy? That's our guy. 2 Super Bowl MVPs. I mean, even Philly fans are saying, you kind of gave him a raw deal. Right? This is the people that hated Donovan McNabb. I'm not comparing Donovan McNabb to Eli Manning. I'm just saying the situation. Cowboy fans are even talking about how bad it is. So just to wrap that up, I really just think that the New York fan is just really they're funny. They're funny, right? It was just handled terribly. Now let's get to the Yankees. Let's get to the meat of it. Last night the news came down. The Yankees hired Aaron Boone as their manager, right? It was between, according to reports, it was between Hensley Mullins, Hensley Bam Bam Mullins, and Aaron Boone. As soon as you hear it's between those two guys, you know it's Aaron Boone. Mullins didn't have a chance. The reason Mullins didn't have a chance is he's been around. He's been around the block. Right? He's been a coach. He's been a manager in the minor leagues. He has maybe bad habits. I don't know if he has bad habits or not, but that's how the Yankees could look at it. The Yankees wanted a yes man. They wanted a guy they could put in there that they could kind of push around, lean on, dictate really what's going to go on. And I don't think Mullins was going to fit that bill. Right? He has a little bit of clout behind him to say, hey, I've been in the dugout as a manager. I've seen different things. This is how I've handled players in the past. Yankees didn't want that. They wanted a new guy that they could put in there, and Aaron Boone is the perfect fit. He came right from the game into the booth And now he just goes right in and gets the keys to the Ferrari, right? I mean, he's been around longer in clubhouses than Mullins because Aaron Boone has been in clubhouses since he was 2 years old. But how much pushback is he really going to give? First-time manager. And you're managing the Yankees. That's like you get your learner's permit, and it's like, hey, you got your learner's permit. Here's the keys to the Ferrari. Here you go. Just don't crash it, right? Now, listen, you got the keys to the Ferrari, but Daddy Cashman is going to sit right here with you as you drive in the driveway, as you drive in the Hannaford parking lot, and you kind of drive around a little bit. He's going to tell you everything you need to know. He's going to teach you everything you need to know. He's going to tell you what to do because it's a Ferrari and you're 15 and you just got your learner's permit. And then eventually we'll get out of the Hannaford parking lot. We're going to drive out into the road. Right? You're going to get to go out into the streets. But Daddy Cashman is still going to be here, adjusting the radio, presetting the stations, controlling the volume. You don't worry. Just keep your eyes on the road. Keep your eyes on the road, Aaron. Drive the car. I'll preset these stations for you, and we'll control the volume and what you can listen to and what you can't listen to and how loud or how low and all those things. Those are just 10 and 2. That's what they wanted. They wanted 10 and 2, right? Mullins, he's got his driver's license. He's been out there. He can drive the car and change the stations at the same time, right? He can multitask, right? They wanted a guy that they could put in there. And look, I'm not saying Aaron Boone is going to be a bad manager. That's not what I'm saying at all. Actually, it probably end up being a good hire. Look, at the end of the day, Aaron Boone could be the next Joe Torre. And if Aaron Boone is the next Joe Torre, that makes Joe Girardi this generation's Buck Showalter, right? It is what it is. Now, what I also find funny is Aaron Boone is all of a sudden, with no experience, has become the face of a multi-billion-dollar organization, right? Sports is the only business I can think of off the top of my head, now that I think about it, where middle management is the face of the billion-dollar organization. And he's the face, right? I mean, you got Trost and Cashman and all these other guys up, Randy Levine, Hank, Hal. But where is Hank? Need more Hank. Let me talk about that in a second. But then you have the players and other guys down here, and then you have middle management. Really, the manager of the team is middle management. But he's everything. He's the face. He's the organization right now. So baseball and sports is kind of funny how, especially baseball, where the middle management is running the organization. Or not running it, but they're the face of the organization. Listen, at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a good hire for the Yankees from an organizational up top standpoint because they can kind of dictate what goes on and what doesn't go on. I hope Aaron Boone has a lot of success. I hope he does well. I hope he wins championships. I feel bad for Joe Girardi because the guy struggled through. Look, you gave him an old team. He won a World Series. He took you to a couple playoffs. He's never had a losing season. He kept you relevant. He won games. Last year when they were sellers, he kept you relevant going into the last week of the season until the Dodgers series, and then Betances blowing the game against the Dodgers, and then like one or two more against the Red Sox going into the final week. And last year, with zero expectations, really, he took you one game from the World Series and lost in a Game 7 to a team that eventually won the World Series. Now that he has the team after the rebuild, by the way, what manager can take you through a rebuild and not have a losing record? That's astonishing, by the way. Sit and think about that for a second of how astonishing that actually is. To go through a rebuild and have no losing record when your team were sellers at the deadline. That's Pratt's Manager of the Year votes. Like if Cashman's going to win Executive of the Year, Joe Girardi should get some Manager of the Year votes. I mean, that's just crazy. The guy gets no respect, right? So you now he has the team that he struggled through the rebuild, all that aggravation, and now he doesn't even get to enjoy the fruits of his labor to get to now manage the team that he's built up and got and went through the lean times. And he just even the Mets gave Terry Collins, when he went to the World Series, a contract extension. Said, look, you went through the bad times. Now let's see if you can handle the keys to this. Now we know Girardi would be able to handle it. And Collins didn't work out, but I think it's safe to say that Girardi's historically would have taken that team to the next level. I mean, I would bet my life on it. He's just not a yes man. He's just not going to say yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. That was a story in Miami when he left there. That was a story here, and he's gone. So we move on from Joe Girardi, and we have Aaron Boone, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out over the next year or two. I can't wait for baseball to start. I can't wait for spring training. The problem is it's only December 2nd. That's it. Let me know what you think. Share it with your friends. Comment. Tell me if I'm crazy. I really don't care. All right? Actually, I do care. That's not true. I do care. But that's it. Let me know what you think. Take care. Have a good weekend.